Hey, if you do not have your board, marker, eraser, or paper and a pencil, pause this video right now and grab your materials. So in today's mini lesson, we talked about how we go about finding a common denominator for two different fractions. And the reason why we're finding a common denominator for two different fractions is one, so that we can be able to eventually compare fractions and see which one's larger or which one's smaller, but it's also going to help us in our next chapter when we begin adding and subtracting fractions. So what we have here for our first example, I would like for you to go ahead and write 1/3 and 1/2 on your board or on your paper. And what we're going to do is we have 1/3 and 1/2. So we're going to be changing the denominators. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be writing out a list of all of the multiples of 3 and multiples of 2. So what we're looking for is the least common multiple. And the reason why we want to look for the least common multiple is because there could be a lot of multiples in common. But as soon as we find one, we're done and we don't have to continue on any longer. So what I personally like to do, so I'm not creating a whole long list for no good reason, is I like to just start with the first multiple of both numbers. So I have a 2 and I have a 3, and then I compare. Do they have anything in common? Well, no. Then I have 3 times 2. What does 3 times 2 equal? It equals 6. Then I have 2 times 2. What does that equal? It equals 4. Anything in common? Nope, so I keep going. 3 times 3 equals 9. 2 times 3 equals 6. Do I have anything in common? Looking back through my list, I sure do. They both have a 6 in common. So that means that I'm done and I do not have to continue on in my list. So I have just discovered that 1/3 and 1/2 both have a 6 in common for a denominator. So now that I know that, I can now change 1/3 into something over 6 and 1/2 into something over 6. So this goes back to what we were talking about with our equivalent fractions. So what we're going to do is we're going to write 1/3 equals something with a 6 as a denominator, and we're going to write 1/2 equals something, guess what, with a 6 as a denominator. So we've seen these problems before when we were talking about equivalent fractions, right? So now what do? Well, we ask ourselves, 3 times what equals 6? 3 times 2, and whatever we do to our denominator, we have to do to our numerator. So 1 times 2 equals 2. So 2/6 is the equivalency of 1/3. And 2 times what equals 6? That's 2 times 3. And 1 times 3. So 1 times 3 equals 3. So 3/6 is the equivalent for 1/2. So now our two fractions that have a common denominator that mean the exact same thing as 1/3 and 1/2 are 2/6 and 3/6. All right, so that was a good practice. So now we're going to try it by ourselves. On your board, I would like for you to write 1/4 and 5/6. Go ahead and pause this video right now, follow these same steps, and find your two common multiple fractions. Go ahead and begin. All right, so now that you have gone ahead and solved our problem, we're going to begin by writing our common multiples for 4 and 6. Remember, you're only looking at the denominators here because you're trying to find a common denominator. So let's go ahead and begin writing out our multiples. We have a 4 and we have 6. 4 times 1 equals 4. 6 times 1 equals 6. Now we got 4 times 2 equals 8. And then we got 6 times 2 equals 12. Then we compare. Do we have anything in common yet? Nope. All right, then we got 4 times 3 equals 12. And do I even need to write 6 times 3? No, because I've already got a common multiple here, don't I? So now I see that I have 12 is going to be my common multiple, my least common multiple. So now I'm going to turn those fractions, 1/4 and 5/6, into something with 12 as a denominator. So I'm going to rewrite 1/4 equals something with a 12 as a denominator. And then I'm going to write 5/6 with something as a 12 as a denominator. And then I got 4 times what equals 12? 4 times 3. Whatever I do to my denominator, I have to do to my numerator. So 1 times 3 equals 3. So 3/12. And then I have 6 times what equals 12? 6 times 2. And 5 times what, or 5 times 2 equals 10. So we have 10/12 is the equivalent to 5/6, and 3/12 is equivalent to 1/4. So our two common multiple fractions are 3/12 and 10/12. So if you did not get this, I want for you to go back and double check your work and make sure that you realize what mistake you made so that you're prepared for your exit ticket. Good luck on your exit ticket.